She looked me in the eyes and said, I need a relationship pause. But you still can't see anyone else. So I followed every one of her rules until I realized she was just buying time to replace me. That's when I finally gave her the space she could never close again. I'm 34, and that night in Emma's apartment felt ordinary at first. 2 candles leaning a little to one side. The music low enough that we could hear the street outside. We'd eaten in comfortable quiet, the kind that comes after years together. Then she put her fork down and folded her hands like she was about to deliver a speech she'd practiced. We need a relationship pause, she said. I waited for the laugh that never came. A break? I asked. Not a break, she said fast. A pause. We'll still talk, just not hang out as much. I need space. Time to think. The word space landed heavily. We'd been together 3 years. We'd made it through her late nights studying and my long commutes. We had a Boston trip on the calendar. In my head, we were steady. In hers, I was learning, we were crowded. She reached for her phone. I wrote a few things down, so we don't misunderstand each other. She opened her notes app. My chest tightened before she even read the first line. A list, not a conversation. A plan. Rule 1, she said, eyes on the screen. You can't date anyone else during the pause. I blinked. Okay. Rule 2. I'll still check in, but please don't pressure me to hang out. I nodded once. Rule 3. Don't post about me or us on social media. I need privacy right now. She scrolled. Rule 4. If I text late, don't ask where I've been. I just want emotional space. She set the phone down and finally looked at me. Her face was calm, almost gentle, the way someone sounds on an airplane when they explain the safety card. So, you get freedom, I said slowly, and I get rules? It's not like that, she said. These are boundaries. I need this for clarity. I watched the candle burn low and drip onto the table. A tiny mess was forming between us while we tried to act like this was normal. I wanted to argue and ask why we were planning trips if she needed to be away from me. But her voice had that firm edge that says the decision is already made. Not angry. Final. I stood to rinse our plates just to move, to do something with my hands. She followed me to the sink and touched my shoulder. I don't want to lose you, she said. I just don't know how I feel when we're together all the time. I nodded because there wasn't much else to do. I dried my hands on a dish towel and told her I'd head out early. No scene. I slipped on my jacket and kissed her cheek because habit is strong when love is tired. She didn't lean in or pull away. She just stayed still. Outside, the air felt colder than it should have. I walked home past the corner store and the shut bakery, trying to picture what a pause looks like when only one person gets to define it. The word kept looping in my head. Pause. Like we were a TV show, she could stop and start when it fit her schedule. Back in my place, I put my phone on the dresser and stared at the ceiling for a while. The room looked the same as it had every other night, but it didn't feel the same. I thought about the trip to Boston. The hotel reservation is sitting in my email. The list of coffee shops she'd sent me last week. I picked up the phone to text her something. Anything. To make this feel less rigid. I typed, "Are you sure this is what you want?" Then I deleted it. If the rules were already written, the answer was already written too. The next morning, I woke up to silence. No good morning text. No funny meme she usually sent before work. Just quiet. It wasn't unusual for us to skip messages before, but now that it was part of a rule, the silence felt heavier. I told myself to respect her boundaries. No calls. Just let things breathe. Maybe she really did need space, and maybe if I gave it, things would find their balance again. So I tried. The first few days weren't terrible. I filled the hours with errands, gym sessions, and long walks that ended with me checking my phone every few minutes, waiting for a notification that never came. I didn't text first, and didn't ask where she was. I followed every rule like a man keeping score. By the end of the first week, though, the space started feeling more like distance. I'd open my phone late at night and see her online, liking photos, tagging friends at bars, posting stories from new places. She wasn't hiding. She was living, and I was waiting. One night, I finally caved. Just a simple message. "Hey, you doing okay?" She replied 5 minutes later. "Ryan, please don't guilt me. This is why I needed distance." That hit harder than I expected. I'd asked one question. One. But I let it go. If she wanted freedom, I'd give her all the space she could handle. Still, something didn't feel right. She'd said she needed clarity, but from where I stood, she seemed clear. Out with friends, while I was stuck wondering what box I'd been placed in, boyfriend, placeholder, or backup plan. The second week came with more silence. Then whispers. A mutual friend mentioned seeing her at a brewery with someone new. He caught himself mid-sentence, eyes widening like he'd said too much. I didn't press him. I didn't need to. My gut already knew. The pause wasn't a reset. It was covered. A way to keep me loyal while she tested what life looked like without me. I spent that night pacing around my living room. Every time I picked up my phone, I put it back down. Every part of me wanted to ask her, "Are you seeing someone?" But what good would it do? She'd already written the rule book. No questions, no pressure, no answers. Then, around midnight, my phone buzzed. "Hey, I miss talking to you. Can we call?" For a second, my chest loosened. Maybe she'd been thinking of me after all. Maybe she'd realized this pause wasn't helping. I answered. Her voice was soft, familiar. "Hi." "Hey," I said, careful, quiet. "I just missed your voice," she said. It feels weird not talking. I wanted to believe her. So we talked. About the weather, work, and little things. It almost felt normal again. But every time I tried to steer the conversation toward us, she dodged. "Are you ready to end the pause?" I asked once. She hesitated. "Not yet. I'm getting there. I just need you to trust me, okay?" Trust. That word felt ironic coming from someone who'd built walls and handed me the blueprint. Still, I told her I did. Because a part of me wanted to. Wanted to think she was being honest. Wanted to believe this pause had a purpose. But when the call ended, I sat in the dark for a while, staring at the ceiling. Something in her tone didn't sound like love searching for clarity. It sounded like someone buying time. And as I lay there, it hit me. She wasn't looking for space to think. She was deciding whether I was still worth holding on to. When our call ended that night, the silence felt different. Heavier. I stared at the dark screen, realizing I'd been clinging to her words like they still meant something. Trust me. But trust doesn't live under one person's conditions. It needs to breathe on both sides. Lying there, I finally admitted what I'd been avoiding. She didn't want time to think. She wanted time to decide. About me. About whoever else was filling her evenings. And the worst part? She expected me to stay right where she left me. Waiting, loyal. That thought settled in, cold but clear. This wasn't love anymore. It was a test I never agreed to take. So, the next morning, I made a new rule. If she wanted a pause, fine. But from now on, it would be on my terms. I started simple. I stopped checking her social media. No more scanning her stories for clues. No more trying to guess who she was with. I turned off her notifications completely. Out of sight, out of my peace. I didn't text her first. If she wanted to talk, she could reach out. I stopped overthinking every silence, every minute she didn't reply. If she wanted space, I'd give her the whole sky. Days passed, and something strange happened. I felt lighter. Not happy, but free in a way I hadn't felt since the word pause entered our vocabulary. I didn't realize how much energy I'd been wasting, trying to hold together something she'd already let go of. By midweek, she noticed. She texted one evening. "Hey, haven't heard from you in a bit. Everything okay?" I read it, smiled, and locked my phone. No reply. 3 days later. "Ryan, are we okay?" Still nothing. I wasn't being petty. I was just tired of playing a game where only one side got to keep score. Then, Friday night, 11:47 p.m., my phone rang. Her name lit up the screen. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. "Hey," I answered, voice calm. "You've been distant lately," she said softly. I let out a short laugh. "Isn't that what you wanted? Distance? Rules? Space?" There was a pause on her end. Then a sigh. "Not like this. I thought you'd fight harder. It feels like you're letting go." That one hit differently. Not because it hurt, but because it told me everything. She didn't want space to figure herself out. She wanted to know I'd still be there when she came back. She wanted control, not clarity. I leaned back on the couch, voice steady. "You said you needed this pause, Emma. You wrote the rules. I'm just following them." She was quiet for a few seconds. Long enough for the truth to sink in. "Can we meet tomorrow?" she asked finally. "I just want to talk." Part of me hesitated. Another part, the one that had started healing, said yes. Not because I wanted to fix things, but because I needed to see it for what it really was. We agreed to meet at the cafe where we'd had our first date. The same place where she once told me she could picture a future with me. Now, we'd see what was left of that picture. That night, as I lay in bed, I didn't feel anxious. Just clear. Whatever tomorrow brought, apology, excuse, or confession, I was done being the one waiting for permission to matter. The next day, I reached the cafe a few minutes early. Same corner table where we'd sat years ago, laughing over shared pastries and plans. This time, the air felt heavier, just the quiet hum of conversations around me and a small ache I'd already made peace with. She walked in wearing a soft smile, hair pulled back, like she'd tried to rewind us to better days. "Hey," she said, sliding into the seat across from me. "Hey." For a moment, neither of us spoke. She stared down at her coffee, stirring it though it didn't need stirring. Then finally, "I've been thinking a lot," she said quietly, "about how I handled things." I nodded, letting her continue. "The pause, the rules, it wasn't fair," she admitted. "I thought I needed space to figure out what I wanted. But I realize now, I pushed you away instead." Her tone was careful, maybe even genuine, but my guard stayed up. I'd seen this version before. Soft voice, gentle eyes, just enough remorse to pull me back in. Still, I listened. I just needed time, she said. And now I know. I want us. I looked at her, really looked. The same eyes I used to feel at home and now felt like a place I didn't belong anymore. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But something didn't match. It was too neat, too easy, too late. Then her phone lit up. A message preview glowed across the screen. See you tonight. The name was blurred, but it didn't matter. My chest tightened, not with heartbreak, but clarity. Everything I'd suspected came into focus. She noticed my eyes flick down. Her hand darted for the phone. It's just a friend, she said quickly. Too quickly. I leaned back. You don't owe me an explanation, I said calmly. You got your space. You made your choice. And now I'm making mine. Her eyes widened. What do you mean? I mean this pause. I looked her straight in the eye. It's permanent. Her face changed, shock, then disbelief. No, wait, Ryan. Don't do this. I just needed time. I cut her off gently. Time's not the issue, Emma. Honesty is. She blinked fast, like she was searching for the right words, but they didn't come. For the first time since all this started, she looked unsure. The control she'd held onto so tightly was slipping. I reached for my coffee, took a slow sip, and set it down. You asked for loyalty while keeping freedom. You wanted reassurance while leaving me in doubt. That's not clarity. That's convenience. She shook her head. That's not fair. Maybe not, I said, standing. But it's real. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The noise of the cafe carried on around us. Cups clinking, low chatter, the hiss of the espresso machine. Ordinary sounds in the middle of something ending. She finally whispered, I didn't mean to lose you. I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger. Just acceptance. You didn't lose me today, Emma. You lost me the moment you made me wait while you figured out if I was worth choosing. Her eyes glistened, but I'd already made peace. I left a few bills on the table, stood up, and walked out. No scene, no backward glance. Just a quiet exit from something that had already ended weeks ago. Outside, the air felt cooler, lighter, like it belonged to me again. I stepped out of the cafe and didn't look back. The sky was gray, the air still, and for the first time in weeks, my mind wasn't running in circles. No what-ifs. No, hoping she'd change. Just quiet. Back home, I sat by the window for a while, watching people pass by. Everyone is moving, everyone is going somewhere. I realized I'd been standing still, waiting on someone who had already started walking in another direction. Later that night, my phone buzzed. Her name again. I didn't pick up. I'd said what needed saying. The rest, she could keep. Over the next few weeks, the pattern repeated. Texts, can we talk? Calls, please answer. Even a long message one night. I know I messed up. I just thought we needed space. I never meant to hurt you. I didn't respond. Not out of bitterness, but because there wasn't anything left to say. You can't rebuild something that only one person wants to fix. So I started focusing on the things I'd been neglecting. Morning runs, weekend plans with friends, cooking for one without the ache of an empty chair. Slowly, the quiet started feeling less like loss and more like peace. And somewhere in that stillness, I saw what I'd missed for so long. Love isn't supposed to feel like waiting for permission. It isn't supposed to have rules that only one person follows. 3 months later, a mutual friend mentioned seeing her around. She's with someone new, he said. I just nodded. No sting, no anger, just understanding. She hadn't needed space to think. She needed space to transition. And that's okay. Everyone moves on in their own way. But while she was figuring out her next chapter, I'd already started mine. A version of me that didn't beg to stay, didn't keep checking his phone, didn't need to prove he was enough for someone unsure. Sometimes, closure isn't a conversation, it's a choice. A quiet one you make alone, when you finally stop trying to rewrite someone else's story and start writing your own. A few weeks later, she texted one last time. Do you ever miss me? I read it once, then put the phone down. Because some questions don't need answers, especially when silence already holds the truth. That night, I went for a walk through the park near my place. The air was cool, the sky open, and for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel like something was missing. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.